The wind slid across the high desert like a living thing, bending the sage and carrying the smell of dust and distant rain, and Clara Whitmore stood with her back to the broken wagon as the last of the sun bled into the hills. Her breath shallow not from the cold but from the awareness that nothing about her life was the same as it had been 3 days earlier, not since the axle snapped and the horses bolted and she found herself alone with a horizon that looked endless and unforgiving, and not since he appeared, quiet as shadow, steady as stone, watching first, judging second, helping third, as if the order mattered. His name was Nantan, an Apache scout whose footsteps barely stirred the sand and whose eyes seemed to hold the desert's memory. And now the two of them sat near a small fire he had built with care, not to blaze but to warm, not to shout but to last, and Clara felt the strange safety of it, the way a person feels sheltered not by walls but by intention. She had spoken. Without planning to, the words tumbling out fragile and true. "I've never been kissed." And once said they couldn't be taken back, they hovered between them like a prayer, and the night leaned in to listen, because confession changes the air, it always does. Nantan did not laugh or smirk or look away. He did not step closer like a conqueror. Instead he tilted his head slightly, as if weighing something important, and leaned forward only enough that the firelight caught the quiet kindness in his expression, saying, "Then we start slow." And in those 4 words Clara felt her ribs loosen for the first time since childhood, felt the tight lessons of the East. Be careful, be quiet, be pleasing. Slipped from her shoulders, because slow meant choice and choice meant dignity. They spoke then, voices low, stories traded like water in a dry place, Clara telling him of Lewis and the riverboats and the suffocating rooms where men decided her future as if she were furniture, of the decision to leave with nothing but a trunk and stubborn hope, and Nantan telling her of the land, not as something owned but as something listened to, of learning when to walk and when to wait, of how patience kept you alive when pride would not, and as the fire cracked and settled the space between them changed, not shrinking so much as warming, the way cold hands warm when held near flame, and when he finally reached out it was not to claim but to ask, his fingers brushing hers like a question mark, and she answered by turning her palm upward, the smallest movement with the largest meaning. The desert breathed around them, coyotes calling far off, stars beginning their slow reveal, and Nantan leaned in just enough that Clara could feel his presence without pressure. His forehead resting lightly against hers, a gesture so gentle it startled her more than any bold move could have, and in that closeness she understood that intimacy was not the absence of fear but the presence of respect, that courage could be quiet, that strength could wait. Memories rose uninvited, men who spoke over her, hands that took before asking, and then faded just as quickly, replaced by the steady rhythm of his breathing, the patience in his stillness, the way he waited for her to decide what came next, and when she closed the distance herself, lips brushing his in a kiss that was soft, and unhurried and trembling with possibility, it felt less like crossing a line and more like stepping onto a path that had always been there, waiting for her feet. The fire burned low but did not die, embers glowing like promises, and Clara smiled into the quiet, knowing that whatever tomorrow brought, danger, distance, the long road ahead, this moment would remain untouched, a beginning defined not by haste but by honor, and if this slow-burn tale of the Wild West stirred something in you, if you believe the strongest stories are the ones that take their time and let characters earn every heartbeat, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because more powerful, unforgettable stories are coming, and this journey through the frontier has only just begun.